We are live on the National. It is 11 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 Friday evening in Christchurch, New Zealand, where shortly after noon local time, 2 mosques were attacked, and there were, according to police and witnesses, multiple fatalities. At this hour, we still haven't heard official confirmation of the number of people killed. Immediately after the mass shootings, there was shock compounded by the uncertainty of not knowing how many people were responsible and what their next target might be. Here's the New Zealand Police Commissioner, Mike Bush, speaking a little earlier tonight, around 9:30 Pacific time.
We have multiple fatalities. At this point, I can't say how many, but it is significant. They occurred in 2 locations, 2 mosques in Christchurch, one at Deans Avenue and one at Linwood Avenue. Our police have those locations locked down. We have 4 people in custody. I have seen social media footage. It's very disturbing. It shouldn't be in the public domain, and we're doing everything we can to remove it.
How did you apprehend the attackers?
The attackers were apprehended by local police staff. There's been some absolute acts of bravery. I'm hugely proud of our police staff, the way they responded to this. But let's not presume that the danger is gone.
There were reports of a car bomb. Can you tell us more about that? I
can tell you that there were a number of IEDs attached to vehicles that we also stopped. We have a number of schools in lockdown. We're currently making sure we have enough staff to saturate the area with enough equipment to ensure that when we release that lockdown, people can get home safely.
So there is still so much more information that's going to come out on this story, and some of it may come out in the early morning hours here in North America. Just a couple of moments ago, the Australian Prime Minister confirming that one of the suspects is an Australian-born citizen. New Zealand's Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern describing this as one of her country's darkest days.
Clearly, what has happened here is an extraordinary and unprecedented act of violence. Many of those who will have been directly affected by this shooting may be migrants to New Zealand. They may even be refugees here. They have chosen to make New Zealand their home, and it is their home. They are us.
The imam at one of the mosques said that he saw the man dressed in black military garb who walked in carrying a long rifle, looking calm, as he started shooting multiple people. And as police responded, they placed schools on lockdown, as well as the city's major hospital and a city council building. We'll have updates on this story through the hour, and coming up, we'll hear from a reporter from TV New Zealand. Well, let's turn now to one of the other big international stories of the day, the plane crash in Ethiopia, the hunt for answers after that crash on Sunday, and we are getting closer. As airlines in Canada scramble to rebook thousands of passengers affected by the grounding of 737 MAX 8 planes, French investigators are starting their search for answers here. This is one of the flight recorders that was on the crashed jet. If they can retrieve the data, we'll know what was happening with the plane and being said in the cockpit as it fell to the ground. And at that point of impact today, so much pain. One woman distraught over all she lost in this spot, clutching at the earth itself. Mixed with that grief, anger. In Ethiopia, some victims' families incensed at the airline, saying they're not getting enough information. Among those with questions, a mother and daughter who live in Canada. They spoke to our Susan Ormiston on a day full of emotion.
The families are all staying here at the Skylight Hotel, owned by Ethiopian Airlines. And this morning, they were invited to a private briefing. It ended badly, with families yelling at the CEO and his staff because they say they're not getting what they desperately want, timely access to their relatives' remains.
What are they telling you?
They speak anything, they speak nothing. They speak everything, it's a government thing.
Then an official ended it. Emotions are intense at the crash site as well. Mostly Ethiopians visiting today, and in the absence of funerals or other rituals, they say, the pain feels worse. They want to reclaim something of their loved ones from this place, but DNA matching will take time, and a UK company has barely begun the work, leaving so many at loss. Like Alison Wong of Vernon, BC, and her mother Haley.
So many victims' families are stuck in here. Like, we all want to know the exact timeline.
Allison lost her dad, Jack Wong.
I know it will be so hard to do the DNA because it's like 1,000 pieces. I don't know, like, it's very hard to do this. But at least I let us know, like, 1 month. Just give us like a time. But we didn't get nothing from them.
Yesterday, Allison and her mum traveled out to that site. Did it give you any comfort, Haley, to be out there?
每搭邊個人嘅時候，他會在我的周圍來回旋轉，什麼也不說，只是看一看。
So like she always think my dad is around her to support her all the time.
And how did you feel?
I just feel everything is it's like a dream. I hope it's fake, but I have to accept the truth. I have to be calm down because I don't want my mom to worry.
There's plenty of worry. Before this crash, her father was just about to get permanent residency for his family in Canada. He needed one last document from Kenya, which is why he was on that plane.
When we dropped him in the airport in Kelowna, he just say, just wait for me 4 or 5 days. And after that, we come back and we celebrate. That is the last words he said.
Tonight, at the Holy Savior, one of the first church memorials, in a week which has consumed the capital. 157 candles and roses, one for each lost soul. Susan Ormiston, CBC News, Addis Ababa.
Another victim of that crash, Canadian Danielle Moore, is being honored around the world tonight, including in Toronto.
And memory goes on.
Her parents attended this sunset ritual. Ones like it were planned in communities across Canada and as far away as Zambia, Mexico, and New Zealand. Friends say that's a reflection of the impact the 24-year-old had on others. She was an environmentalist and human rights activist and was on her way to the UN Environment Assembly when she died. Many of those mourning the 157 lives lost are asking why. And key to providing some of the answers can be found in the plane's black boxes, which, as we showed you, arrived this morning in Paris for analysis. In the meantime, the Boeing ban is in full effect, and the scope of the impact is being felt across this country, with more than 60 Air Canada and WestJet flights canceled today alone, affecting more than 10,000 travelers. Katie Simpson has more on the challenge for passengers as MAX 8s continue to sit idle at airports.
Travel agents are on the front line of the Boeing MAX mess. This Toronto flight center is fielding twice as many calls as normal.
Unfortunately, it's one of the busiest travel times for us in Canada because of March break. You know, it's going a lot smoother than we anticipated.
Travelers scheduled to fly on the Boeing planes are being rebooked as quickly as possible, and at least one airline is planning for this to continue until the end of the month. In a letter to staff, Air Canada's CEO wrote, "Although we have no way of knowing how long these aircraft will be grounded, for now, we are canceling all flights on our Boeing 737 MAX fleet for the next 3 weeks."
We've just been stuck here waiting, because we're flying standby too. So we've just been waiting for like open seats kind of thing.
Riley Calderbank is trying to get home from his Hawaiian vacation with his family.
They're trying to fit everybody on these like other smaller planes, so we'll see how that works out.
Some passengers have been told it may take days to reach their destination as airlines try to rebook tens of thousands of passengers.
They have large fleets at Air Canada, particularly and at WestJet, so they can move planes around, existing planes, and use some smaller planes for some of the routes for bigger ones, and move the planes around.
This professor says the initial shock will wear off once the March break rush ends.
I would encourage Canadians to be a bit patient with Air Canada and WestJet because it's not their fault the plane's grounded.
And that certainly was the sentiment today at Canada's largest airport.
Safety is always first thing, right? I mean, they've had 2 crashes already, so they got to do their due diligence, make sure everybody's safe.
Transport Canada is asking the Canadian companies that fly the Boeing planes to submit their contingency plans. Air Canada, WestJet, and Sunwing must outline their rebooking policies and what they're going to do for their 737 MAX pilots who now have nothing to fly. A government official says all three are cooperating. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Ottawa.
So the big question, when will the 737s take off again? Well, that won't happen until upgrades to flight control software are approved, installed, and tested, which U.S. authorities today say could take a couple of months. Boeing is making fixes to the plane's automated anti-stall system that's suspected of contributing to the deadly crashes. So lots of uncertainty for airlines, pilots, and of course, passengers over the next few weeks, Rosie.
Yeah, it sure sounds like it, Ian. Global uncertainty, too, over what will happen next with Brexit. Britain is supposed to leave the European Union in just 15 days now. Prime Minister Theresa May has cajoled, threatened, and pleaded for a deal to make that happen, to no avail. MPs don't agree on much, but today they finally agreed on something. Stalling for time. As Thomas Degla tells us, many call that an act of desperation.
The Brexit clock has been ticking for 2 years.
728 days.
100 days away.
Just 15 days to go.
A countdown to departure day. Order! Like a constant reminder of Britain hurtling toward the unknown. Now, the exit looks further away than expected.
In politics, I think you have to occasionally do what you think is the right thing.
Guto Beb quit as a minister over the government's handling of Brexit. Today, he called for a timeout.
Perspective in terms of making sure that we don't crash out with a no-deal scenario. It's that extension that we need.
The House of Commons considered that Brexit delay after a week of high drama.
And I'd ask people, how many of them would have voted for this dog's Brexit?
Yet another snub of the government's initial plan.
The Prime Minister has lost all control.
Theresa May conspicuously silent. She lost her voice, her grip on power at risk too. May's Brexit point man laid out what's left of the government's vision.
It is time for this House to act in the national interest. It is time to put forward an extension that is realistic.
MPs agreed Britain should ask the EU to postpone the breakup.
The ayes to the right, 412. The noes to the left, 202.
The vote's result drew no cheers, just silence.
I don't honestly think if we haven't achieved agreement within 2 years, that in frankly a matter of weeks, maybe months, we're going to achieve anything different.
Tonight, the Prime Minister headed home, her country now likely strapped to the EU for a while longer. Nothing settled, only stalled.
So, Thomas, it doesn't seem like this delay has helped with the uncertainty or the confusion surrounding Brexit at all.
Now, all the delay does is clarify what happens next a little bit. Now, the Prime Minister can go to Brussels next week and request a delay for 3 months or longer. She still intends to come back to Parliament next week and put her divorce deal to yet another vote, hoping third time's a charm. And that strategy could force hardline Brexiters to choose between her deal, which they don't like, and the risk of a long Brexit delay or the threat of Brexit never materializing at all. This is all beginning to look like a game of chicken, Rosemary, and it could still backfire.
Hard to see what happens next. Thanks, Thomas. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Turning to the U.S., President Donald Trump's own long-running game of chicken over his border wall. Today, senators opposed to his national emergency declaration had a chance to smack it down, and they did not blink. Now, Democrats have long opposed President Trump on his border wall strategy, but as Paul Hunter explains, today's Senate vote suggests his bedrock of Republican support could be cracking.
The yeas are 59, the nays are 41. The joint resolution is passed.
Do the math, and for Donald Trump, it's a stinging slapdown. U.S. senators today voting to rebuke the president. Among them, yes, Democrats.
The fact is that the president is trying to rewrite the Constitution.
But as well, and more to the point, fully 12 Republicans.
This, for me, is a matter of defending the Constitution and the balance of power.
At the center of it, that border wall. Today's vote was aimed at blocking Trump's declaration of a national emergency along the U.S. border with Mexico. It's Trump's way to free up billions of dollars to build a longer wall. Lawmakers oppose that because under the U.S. Constitution, it's Congress, not the president, with control of public spending.
Do we want the executive branch now or in the future to hold the power of the purse?
I'll probably have to veto. In trying to build the wall regardless, Trump today pledged he'll keep at it, offering a rare one-word tweet about that Senate vote: veto. Promising for the first time in his presidency to now overrule Congress, though even that won't settle things, with the expectation this will all end up in the courts eventually, maybe for years.
One thing I think is pretty clear: it's inarguably a presidential power grab.
But for many, it's the Senate vote itself that matters most. Trump had framed it as a test of loyalty, and that so many Republicans on an issue so close to his heart had failed to line up lockstep behind him may well signal that for Donald Trump, more setbacks could now loom. Paul Hunter, CBC News, Washington.
Okay, Andrew, let's turn now to a marketplace investigation.
Yeah, and this one's for anyone who enjoys the odd shrimp cocktail or seafood linguine. Much of the shrimp consumed in this country comes from overseas, and some of it may contain dangerous bacteria. David Common shows us what he found and how.
Product of Vietnam. This one is from India. Let's get an organic one.
We randomly tested supermarket shrimp imported from India, China, Vietnam, and Thailand, and took them to microbiologist Joe Rubin.
What we're looking for are different types of antibiotic-resistant bacteria.
Many had bacteria like E. coli, and in almost 1 in 5, what they found was resistant to common antibiotics, so-called superbugs. 3 of the samples were ESBL.
That allows them to break down antibiotics.
ESBL is almost like an antibiotic killer?
That's not a bad way of thinking about it.
Most of Canada's shrimp comes from Asia, where antibiotics are often used to control bacteria in shrimp ponds. But there's worldwide concern that practice increases the risk the bacteria will adapt and become resistant to antibiotics.
The challenge that we have to deal with now is that those countries don't have the same regulations that we do.
So that sounds a bit like a backdoor.
That's correct. That's the challenge that we have.
Jerry Wright is perhaps Canada's foremost authority on antibiotic resistance.
What would be a really good idea is to prevent them from getting in the first place.
Canada does not allow antibiotic use on any shrimp, imported or otherwise. But Marketplace learned Canada's Food Inspection Agency isn't even testing for superbugs on our shrimp. Instead, it's been testing for antibiotic residue. And now industry insiders tell us that direct testing is itself being reduced in favor of seafood importers doing more of their own testing.
It's a gap. They need to close the gap. This is a growing problem around the world. We need to come to grips with it, and we need to get on top of it. Problem right now is that other than your little study, we don't know.
So what should happen now? We asked the federal health minister. Is it your commitment to look into the issue of what is on our shrimp being imported into this country?
I am absolutely committed to make sure that I get in touch with our CFIA officials to find out exactly what is being done in this area, and then from there making sure that we ensure that Canada's food supply is safe for all Canadians.
Cooking can kill many superbugs, but there's also the risk of cross-contamination. Take a look at where we detected it in this test kitchen using luminescent gel. Get that bacteria on your food and inside of you. The common antibiotics used to fight your next infection may not work.
Okay, so David, should people, avoid eating shrimp, or can they do something to protect themselves?
So I'm still eating shrimp even after knowing all the things that I now know, but cook it thoroughly. If you're buying raw shrimp, make sure it's cooked straight through. That doesn't take very long. In terms of preparation, treat it like raw chicken. So wash your hands very thoroughly afterwards, touch nothing in between.
And on antibiotic resistance, I mean, should people be worried about other seafood or other food generally?
Yeah, there are other foods where antibiotics are used and are used legally early. So chicken and beef, for instance, in this country, it's reduced now because they're trying to ward off antibiotic resistance as these bugs become better and better and adapt against the antibiotics we have. Places like chicken and beef farms are reducing significantly the amount of antibiotics they use, but they are out there, and we are marching sort of towards a problem probably in 10 or 20 years.
Very interesting stuff, David. Thanks so much. And David, we'll have a lot more on this tomorrow night. You can watch the full marketplace investigation on CBC Television starting at 8 p.m., 8:30 in Newfoundland.
And we're covering a major breaking news story tonight, a mass shooting at 2 mosques in Christchurch, New Zealand. There have been multiple fatalities, and police have arrested 3 men and 1 woman. I spoke to a TV New Zealand reporter, Anna Burns-Francis, who's in Auckland. There is a long delay on this line, 3 or 4 seconds long, but Anna, I know that this has been unfolding in a different city, Christchurch. You've been watching the details come in as we have, but as a New Zealander, tell me what your reaction has been this afternoon.
This is obviously a deeply shocking attack for all New Zealanders to have witnessed, to see still developing this evening. New Zealanders don't have open carry firearms. We have reasonably strict gun control, and we've never seen an incident like this. It is obviously shocking on 2 paths here for those people who were a victim of the attack. We understand the Muslim population in that mosque this afternoon are still in the area trying to locate their loved ones because so many areas are on lockdown and people aren't able to connect with each other. And of course that will be troubling and worrying for them as well as for the wider New Zealand population who are also someone out there potentially who may be a part of this attack. A deeply concerning and worrying time for all of New Zealand. Like the Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern said, an unprecedented extreme act of violence not carried out by New Zealanders and not something we as New Zealanders would ever expect to see.
And picking up on that, was there any hint, any suggestion at all that there might be an extremist threat, a violent threat towards mosques in New Zealand?
Well, a manifesto has been released, allegedly released by the purported gunman, and our crews here have been reading through that. It seems there is a strong theme towards the fact that New Zealand is considered a very peaceful, quiet, tranquil nation, and that carrying out an attack here only proves the point that nowhere is safe.
All right, Anna, I appreciate the update. Sorry it had to come under these circumstances, but interesting to get the perspective from New Zealand this afternoon, your time. Thank you. And later in the hour, we'll hear from an eyewitness to the attacks and find out how police responded to the attack being posted on social media as the National continues.
The first few days of a newborn's life are so important, and yet doctors haven't really known much about what was actually happening biologically in that critical time. Well, that's changing. Here's Cass Rusey now with what new research has revealed and how it could mean big things for babies' health.
The first week of a newborn's life is fragile and potentially deadly.
A large proportion of childhood mortality is newborn mortality. And there's a lot that we don't know about neonatal immunology.
Researchers looked at 2 groups of them in different parts of the world. 60 babies, half from Gambia in West Africa, the other half from Papua New Guinea, were recruited. Researchers compared 2 tiny blood samples, less than 1/4 of a teaspoon from each newborn, at birth and again later in the first week. What they saw were dramatic biological changes. Genes and immune cells were activated. Proteins were being produced.
I don't think we really appreciated the staggering number of changes that are occurring.
Bob Hancock's team at the University of British Columbia performed the blood work. They pioneered the technique that got so much data from such a small sample.
We saw an increase in their ability to resist infections, which is the biggest threat to an infant during that first week of life.
Without having a really good idea of what's normal for a baby in the first week of life, it's very difficult to design strategies to try to help these babies do better.
But the research could give doctors new ways to protect newborns in those early days, including more specific testing done at birth to determine which baby may get sick. It could also provide clues on when babies should be vaccinated.
We'd really like to know more about whether we can actually start doing those vaccinations even earlier in the infants to give them a better chance of fighting off the devastating diseases that vaccines protect against.
Hoping to provide the most vulnerable with a fighting chance early on in their lives. Cass Rusi, CBC News, Toronto.
Still to come, At Issue looks ahead to Tuesday's Budget Day and what's next in the SNC Lavalin controversy.
Plus, 2 years after a blizzard stranded hundreds of Quebec motorists, the provincial government agrees to pony up.
It's a great day. It's a great day for the little person. It's a great day for the people of Montreal. I'm extremely happy. I think it's something that we should all be proud of.
We are live here on CBC News Network just after 11:30 Pacific, covering the mass shooting at those two mosques in Christchurch, New Zealand. And the Prime Minister of New Zealand just confirming the death toll, and the numbers are staggering. 40 people were shot to death, 30 at one mosque, 10 at the other. More than 20 people are also seriously injured. Jacinda Ardern has also labeled this a terrorist attack. Police have arrested 3 men and 1 woman. A little earlier this afternoon, New Zealand time, here's what one of the witnesses told reporters.
Heard the big sound, the gun, and the second one I heard, I ran. Lots of people were sitting in the floor.
New Zealand police have asked all mosques in the country to stay closed. It does appear the motivation of the attack was anti-Muslim and anti-immigrant. And the shooting was live streamed on social media. Here's what the police commissioner said about that.
I have seen social media footage. It's very disturbing. It shouldn't be in the public domain, and we're doing everything we can to remove it.
And Facebook did respond in a tweet. The company says, quote, "We quickly removed both the shooter's Facebook and Instagram accounts and the video. We're also removing any praise or support for the crime." And they will continue to work directly with New Zealand police. So once again, just hearing from the Prime Minister, 40 people killed at 2 mosques in Christchurch, New Zealand. We'll have another update later in the hour, but first, here's At Issue.
Madame Lapointe, Mr. McKinnon.
What a shame.
What a shame. Cover up. Mr. Barrett, cover up.
No, it's a cover-up.
The committee's already expressed its wishes on March 6th to have this particular hearing on March 19th, so it's as simple as that.
What does this say to Canadians? That they have something to hide. If they didn't have something to hide, we would have had the debate.
They have done everything that they could to block and obstruct the ability of this committee to get to the truth.
So, strong words from the opposition parties after yesterday's emergency debate at the Justice Committee was cut short. Now their next meeting is set for Tuesday. That will happen behind closed doors. It just happens to be Budget Day next Tuesday. So what happens next in the SNC Lavalin controversy? How will the government use, presumably, the budget to reset the agenda? It's Thursday, and that means it's At Issue time. Everyone with me in studio in Toronto, where I am as well. Chantal Hébert, Andrew Coyne, and Andre Demise. Good to see everybody in person. So I want to talk about what happened in that committee this week, but also in terms of how the government may try to seize back the agenda with the budget. What did you make of the Liberal decision to shut down the idea of Jody Wilson-Raybould, for now anyway, coming back in front of that committee?
Yes, well, I mean, the line was, well, we're not shutting anything down, we're just postponing it to the regularly scheduled date. I guess I'm not clear why March 19th is the magic date, other than it happens to be the day of the budget. So whatever decision they make, whether they call Jody Wilson-Raybould, whether they call any other witnesses, or whether, as I suspect, they call none of them, it'll get drowned out by the budget coverage, which I suspect was the intent. So no, shutting down that meeting last Wednesday wasn't the end of the world in that, but it certainly presaged, it seems to me, where they're headed.
It wasn't surprising, though, that they didn't want to put her back in that forum, was it? I mean, that they wanted to give her more time in that committee as the only witness. Is that surprising to you? I don't know.
Yes and no. Yes, because
pressure and the consensus out there beyond the opposition parties was that she should be allowed to reply to the testimonies that others have given that don't seem to match hers. Right. Second, the notion, I'm not insulted by the fact that the meeting will take place on the day of the budget behind closed doors, because that meeting is going to be a meeting about the meeting. But if the intent were to say, yes, let's have her back, that makes very strange strategic sense, because the Liberals would then be setting themselves up to overshadow their budget with a second Wilson-Raybould appearance. And if they, for a second, think that the budget will overshadow that, they really are miscalculating. So I'm assuming that they do not want her back, and I'm not sure that they can prevent her from speaking by just saying you can't come to our committee.
Well, so they take issue, the government says they take issue with the notion that they are being perceived as muzzling Jody Wilson-Raybould, that in fact she could speak anytime she wants to speak. She could speak to me, she could speak to you, she could hold a press conference.
That's entirely possible, but then the moment she does that and steps outside of the Justice Committee to have conversations with the press, I think what will happen to her will be more or less what happened to Selina Caesar-Chavannes, who went to the press, had a conversation about what her conversations were with the Prime Minister, and then she was essentially attacked by Liberal partisans online, social media, etc. So I don't really see how it makes any sense to have her go outside the venue where the questions are supposed to be answered, which is inside of that committee.
I mean, let's look at the larger context. The story broke February the 7th. Ms. Wilson-Raybould spoke to the committee on February 27th. We're now into the next week, into late March, and they're only now debating and considering whether to call her or whether to call other witnesses. This is not how the committee should be proceeding. This is the only forum we have to try to even notionally get to the bottom of this, since we're not apparently going to have a public inquiry. There are serious allegations that top-level officials in the government tried to interfere with a prosecution, a criminal prosecution on serious charges of fraud and corruption. This is not acceptable. It's fine to say, well, she could speak elsewhere. She could also speak to the committee, and I have yet to hear a good reason why she shouldn't.
But 3 points. One, she did testify about her experience as Attorney General. Yes. So I'm not sure that there would be a lot to add to the interference issue from her time after she wasn't Attorney General. The first
beyond the cabinet shuffle, which speaks to motivation, I guess.
Yes, but second point, for the Liberals, there would be an advantage in having her in committee, because there are questions that they should be asking. They haven't been, and if they're serious, they would look a lot better asking tough questions than muzzling her or keeping her out of the committee. But I guess the third point is, for herself, there will come a point where she will have to reconcile her desire to remain a part of that team with whatever she wants to say about the person who leads it. Right. And so I'm guessing if she does go back and testify, there will be a line at some point that will be crossed where it will become impossible to commend this Prime Minister to voters in 6 months and at the same time to spend more time talking about how terrible he is.
But there's also elementary fairness. Michael Wernick got to testify twice, both before and after. Jerry Butts got to testify after the benefit of hearing her, so he would know where to direct his testimony. They both essentially implied that she was either lying or making things up, so she should be able to say her piece. But secondly, there's all kinds of other people I would like to hear from. Those two officials in the Prime Minister's office who apparently were talking to line prosecutors quite improperly, at least according to her testimony. I'd like to hear from them. Maybe it's not true.
Yes. Okay, and I will just for the record point out that I have asked to speak with her on numerous occasions and she has yet to accept. But I mean, she's had invitations, is my point, beyond the committee to say her piece, and maybe that's not the right venue, but there it is. So talk to me about the budget then and how you expect that to factor into all of this, because as we've talked about before, it was this time last year that they were getting over the India trip debacle, had a budget to sort of reset things. I think it appeared to work. Eric Renier's numbers show that things start to track back up after the budget anyway. Do they have to put all their eggs in the basket here in order to try and rebuild the narrative, or is the damage done?
I think the fact that we're even having this conversation shows, to me, it belies a level of cynicism that I think I at least thought in Canadian politics that we were past that. So the idea that we're delaying the second appearance until the day of the budget, whether or not it overshadows, I don't think is really the question. The question is why couldn't we have settled one before we moved on to the other? Why couldn't we have settled this issue? As you pointed out, we've been dealing with this for over a month. This could have been squared away by now in the Justice Committee. So why are we stretching this into the budget period and having a conversation over if we're talking about the future of pharmacare in Canada, we're talking about getting young people into homes and trying to solve the housing crisis in this country. We're conflating that with an issue that was over a month old.
But are we conflating it, or are they trying to say these are the things that matter to us, so we want you to talk about those more?
I think if they wanted to get this squared away by then and then move on to the budget issues and the issues contained therein, they would have done so by
I think they think it is squared away. That's what I would argue. Yeah.
I'm not as persuaded as Chantal that Jody Wilson-Raybould would drown out the budget versus the other way around. I think the message the government will try to say is the opposition wants to talk scandal. We're talking about the real concerns of men and women in Canada. They've got several $1 billion in extra revenues, it looks like, because they lowballed the revenue numbers as usual. I suspect there'll be a lot of goodies in this budget, and we shall see. Maybe Chantal's right, but we shall see which takes precedence in news coverage.
The budget was always going to have lots of goodies in it because it's a pre-election budget. And it is fair game for the government to remind voters of other issues than Jody Wilson-Raybould and SNC-Lavalin, because when they make that choice in October, it's going to be on more than that.
So then we get to repeat at a national level what's already happened in Ontario, is that the government tries to paper over a scandal by dropping a whole bunch of goodies in the government.
I think
the opposition seizes on that, and then we spend 4 years undoing what was done.
Chantal, finish your point.
I don't think the government should forego presenting a budget.
Well, I'm not saying that.
Hang on, let Chantal finish.
If that's where we're going, I don't agree with that.
I'm not by any stretch saying that.
The sheer presentation of a budget does not paper over. You're actually re-arguing my point. I believe that if she showed up the day after the budget would be forgotten and dropped from the headlines much more quickly than if she does not.
But do they need it more than they would have anyway, given it's a pre-electoral budget? I guess that's my question.
I've seen governments who were going into elections bring goodie budgets time and again, and in the end, if you're going to be re-elected, it usually is based on the character of the Prime Minister and not on some goodie budget that came 6 months before. Because remember those checks that Stephen Harper sent the entire summer. Philippe Couillard had nothing but goodies this time last year, and look where he is today, or where is he, by the way? Kathleen Wynne, how much papering over did she do? I don't know.
Well, there was no papering over done, but what's happening on Ontario is that some of the great items that were included in the last budget and the Wynne government are now being undone by the Ford government, which is likely what will happen if the Liberals are defeated this year.
It will be interesting to see how the opposition plays the budget. I'm not sure that you can credibly have business as usual when the government is preventing key witnesses who are accused of having tampered with the prosecution to just go ahead with the budget and pretend everything's normal. So it will be interesting to see. They've promised to use, quote unquote, every toolkit the opposition has at their disposal. We shall see what
but to Chantal's point, what do you expect them to do? Not table the budget? Not pretend that they're governing, that they shouldn't be governing?
The government will do what the government will do. I think the opposition, though, has an opportunity to make the point that this is not business as usual. We are not going to play along and just pretend that this issue is just a sidelight. It's an incredibly important issue if the government of the day is going to be monkeying around with a criminal prosecution.
Last word to you.
I guess if you're asking, can Bill Morneau save the government from and reverse the polls? I don't think so. I think by now the issue is squarely onto the Prime Minister, and that's why the narrative of the SNC-Lavalin endures. It's not because everyone wants to hear everyone. I know Andrew does, but it's because it has cast doubts as to the character of the Prime Minister as he is about to ask for another mandate.
Right, but can the budget, in terms of defining him and his leadership, can it do that? Forget Bill Morneau. We've all agreed what his limitations are, but can he do that himself?
The only budget that I've ever seen that has done that was the 95 Paul Martin budget, because it was a watershed budget, not a goodie pre-election budget, and I don't think that budget is going to be a structurally watershed budget.
The combination of throwing goodies at people while stonewalling on this issue is not a good one.
I think what it really comes down to is this, what kind of society do we live in, and what kind do we want to live in? Do we want to live in a society where if you have enough wealth and enough connections to the government, you can essentially side skirt the law? Or do we agree that we are all are we all subject to the law as it is written? And I don't think that, regardless budget or not, we can really get away from that conversation.
Okay, gotta leave it there. Thanks, everybody. Before we go, be sure to subscribe to At Issue, the podcast, for extra content this week. Maybe you guys don't know this yet, but we're going to talk about the NDP's strategy for Quebec. You probably do. Ahead of the election, look for it on iTunes, any major podcast app, our website, cbcnews.ca/thenational.
And just ahead, Mueller 101. What to expect when the special counsel finishes his investigation.
The big question is, will we see everything that Mueller finds? Probably not. Let's go over how this could all go down.
But first, a peek at something coming your way this weekend. Renowned songwriter, producer David Foster will be honored at the Junos. He and I had a chance to meet and talk about that, but also about his rather large Rolodex of A-list talent spanning decades. Here's a preview of our Sunday interview.
Roll playback.
What did you think when you saw that?
Well, what I thought specifically was that I was an incredible taskmaster and control freak, is what I got out of watching myself on tape. I made Neil Young sing at least 13 times, one line. I mean, he must have wanted to kill me.
Somehow our innocence is lost.
A little flat on innocence, but other than that, it was great. We'll go again, huh?
Mm-hmm. One more time.
Somehow our...
That's my sound, man.
That's my sound. Like, in other words, I'm done with you.
The yeas are 420. The nays are 0.
A rare bipartisan vote in the U.S. House of Representatives today. Democrats and Republicans voted unanimously in favor of a resolution calling for special counsel Robert Mueller's report into Russia election meddling to be made public. The vote isn't binding and it was quickly blocked by the Senate, but it does represent growing pressure on the Justice Department to be transparent when the report is finally released. The CBC's Matt Kwong explains what we can expect to learn.
The big question is, will we see everything that Mueller finds? Probably not. Let's go over how this could all go down. The special counsel will submit his report to his boss, Attorney General William Barr. This will be a confidential document. Barr gets to decide what to share with the public and what to tell Congress. He says it'll be as transparent as possible, quote, consistent with the law. So some wiggle room. Even if Barr does decide to release the full report to the public, don't expect it to be dictionary-sized. It won't be as sprawling as independent counsel Ken Starr's 445-page Whitewater report, in which he revealed President Bill Clinton's extramarital affair. Current regulations only require Mueller to lay out investigatory paths he took and to explain declinations, decisions his team made to not bring charges against someone. That would be a bare-bones report. He could simply list people he indicted and say there was no probable cause for indictable offenses in any other cases. A comprehensive narrative report could be another way to go, but Mueller is so straight-laced that he'll likely hand in something more understated. Whatever we learn is up to Barr. Once he has Mueller's report, Barr must notify Congress. But he doesn't have to share everything. It might be a summary leaving out classified intelligence. Barr's summary must reveal any conflicts between Mueller's team and the Justice Department overseeing Mueller's work. For example, suppose Mueller wanted to subpoena Deutsche Bank to look into Trump's business dealings. If Mueller's boss said no, Congress would have to know about that rejection. Will the report indict anyone close to Trump? Barr says he's bound by Justice Department policies. One policy says you don't release reports about people you aren't charging with a crime. Let's say Mueller uncovers something unsavory about Trump or his family members. Unless that activity meets the threshold of proof that the law was broken, there will be no charges. That means the president's name might not even be mentioned in the report. Justice Department guidelines also say you can't indict a sitting president. What if Trump or anyone close to him isn't indicted and Barr doesn't explain why? That won't sit well with Congress. New investigations could get more aggressive, and lawmakers could subpoena Mueller to testify. Remember, Congress is now gearing up for its own probes. Already, those probes are looking not just into Russia, but allegations of corruption, obstruction of justice, and abuse of power by Trump and his administration. And Mueller could still hand off key cases to other federal prosecutors, allowing those probes to live on for years after Mueller's team dissolves. So if you thought the Trump probes were nearly over, think again. Matt Kwong, CBC News, Washington.
And throughout the hour, we've been following breaking news of a shooting at 2 mosques in Christchurch, New Zealand. 40 people killed, more than 20 seriously injured. And after the break, we'll hear from the New Zealand Prime Minister next on The National. We are live just before midnight Pacific time on CBC News Network with the latest on the mass shooting in New Zealand. That country's Prime Minister speaking just a few minutes ago.
We, New Zealand, we were not a target because we are a safe harbour for those who hate. We were not chosen for this act of violence because we condone racism, because we are an enclave for extremism. We were chosen for the very fact that we are none of these things, because we represent diversity, kindness, compassion, a home for those who share our values, refuge for those who need it. And those values, I can assure you, will not and cannot be shaken by this attack.
So it is Friday evening in Christchurch, New Zealand. These attacks happened at 2 mosques shortly after Friday prayers, and we just heard in the last 15 or 20 minutes what the death toll was. It is shocking. 40 people killed in those 2 mosques, 30 at one, 10 in the other, and other people are seriously injured this evening. And we heard from the Prime Minister not only her resolute message about tolerance, but also saying that the security threat, she can't be sure, is over. So she's telling people in that country to very carefully listen to what the police have to say. We'll have much more coverage of this tomorrow on CBC News Network and, of course, The National.